Okay, everyone, welcome to my latest video. I apologize for the delay in this, but, a lot of stuff got in the way. Work last week was insane, and I've been playing catch-up the last few days. I even had to get some work done over the weekend that really cut into this. Also, I did want to make sure that I did watch Ring of Honor Final Battle, so I could review everything all in one massive video. So, this video will give you a review of the first episode of 205 Live. The second episode is actually happening later tonight. I'm filming this right before SmackDown. It's 7:20 my time, so hopefully I'm able to finish filming this before SmackDown begins. We shall see. But yeah, I'm going to be reviewing the first episode of 205 Live. I'm going to be reviewing Ring of Honor Final Battle. I'm going to be reviewing TLC 2016. Almost fucked that up. And I am also going to do my top 10 matches for the month of November 2016, which I'm going to jump into right now, because that's probably going to be the most tedious part of this video. So let's just hop right into it. All right, November 2016. What have I got here? Okay. My brand of the month I'm actually going to give to NXT. I'm sure a lot of people would expect me to say Lucha Underground. You would not be wrong. It's just that on the strength of their really strong TakeOver special, I'm going to give the nod to NXT. And I'm also going to give them the nod for being able to do so much with so little, because they got drained after the draft. I mean, they lost so many guys and so many big names for their brand that they pretty much had to start over in a lot of ways and just try and find new stars and build new things. So for the last TakeOver special to be as good as it was, it's pretty remarkable. It shows that NXT's booking style really allows them to, you know, kind of let things simmer and let things grow and develop naturally rather than just trying to force amazing things every single week. And, you know, when eventually they get to these TakeOver specials, they still deliver even after losing all those big names. So I'm going to give Brand of the Month to NXT. Jumping into the top 10 matches. Number 10, Charlotte versus Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's title in a Falls Count Anywhere match from the last Raw of November, 11/28. Obviously, this match got a lot of praise when it first happened. You know, the women are main eventing Raw, and admittedly, Charlotte and Sasha went out there and I thought had a pretty good match. I thought the finish was a little anticlimactic. I know what they were going for, the bank statement with Charlotte wrapped up around the guard railing, but it just didn't look that great. It looked pretty basic, so it got the tap out, and that was the finish. I was a little surprised. I don't think it had the impact that they were going for, but other than that, I thought the match was really good, with Charlotte moonsaulting off the table and them, like, beating the crap out of each other and all sorts of crazy things like that. So I did think the match was really good. Number 9, from Lucha Underground, the 11/23 episode, Dante Fox versus Killshot. This is part of a storyline that's been going on pretty much ever since Killshot was given his backstory, where he explained that he had some army buddies that died in battle, and he's kind of carrying on their memory. And Dante Fox eventually revealed himself as one of Killshot's comrades in arms, and he actually survived what Killshot thought had killed him, so he's actually back for revenge because he feels like Killshot left him out to die. And this was their first match together, and it was a hard-hitting, crazy, exciting match. It really made me excited to see what they're going to do moving forward, because you know, Lucha Underground, they are fantastic when it comes to having wild, crazy, you know, hardcore grudge matches. So if this was only a taste of what we're going to get in the future, I can't wait to see what they ultimately do with this. And I remember the Killshot Marty the Moth Weapons of Mass Destruction match, which was insane. So hopefully Dante Fox and Killshot are able to deliver something similar, because, man, this was a good first start. Number 8, Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins for the Universal title in a no DQ match. Another Raw main event. This one from the 11/21 episode. Yeah, a strong main event for Raw. I didn't like that Jericho came out and interfered at the end, even though they said he was banned from ringside. To me, it was kind of like, okay, they said they were going to do something, and then they reneged on it. It wasn't even like that clever how they did it. But other than that, I thought the match was really good. I thought the brawl through the crowd was handled very well, with Seth jumping and doing all sorts of other crazy things. Yeah, very enjoyable match. And, you know, these are two guys that have really suffered from bad booking. Seth as a face really hasn't been working for reasons that are not his fault. Kevin Owens, his title reign has been kind of meh for reasons that are not his fault. It's just that you just got to take what you're given. But on rare occasions, when these two are allowed to shine, they really do shine. And I thought they had a really good match with each other. One of the better TV main events of the month. Another strong TV main event, Rey Mysterio versus Chavo Guerrero in a loser leaves Lucha match from the November 2nd episode of Lucha Underground. You know, I feel like I've seen this match 5,000 times. I know WWE did it a lot. I know WCW did it a few times. This was a match pairing that I don't want to say I was sick of seeing. It was just not one I was overly interested in ever seeing again. And Lucha Underground did it, and it turned out really well. This might be the best match that they've ever had together, and brilliant use of Chavo Sr. as well. I thought it was a nice touch to include him into the mix. But, yeah, very exciting, very dramatic match, and overall just very good. And a match pairing that I didn't expect to be exciting in 2016, they managed to make it work. So, good stuff. Kudos to Lucha Underground once again. Number 6, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Samoa Joe for the NXT title from NXT TakeOver Toronto. This was the main event of the show. Probably the weakest of the big matches from the TakeOver special, but still, I thought really good. Very New Japan style feel to the match as far as how they worked it and the hard hits that they gave each other. Great stuff, and I already praised it when I reviewed the show. I praised the finish. I thought the finish was handled really well. Like I said, I was surprised that Joe won the title back, but we'll see what happens moving forward with that. But overall, pretty good main event to a really strong TakeOver special. Number 5, also from NXT TakeOver Toronto, Asuka versus Mickie James for the NXT Women's title. Again, very good match. I thought Mickie looked great. I thought this was a great way to use a returning wrestler, an older talent, older star. Use her to create a big match and then put the new guy over. And Asuka got put over. And everything turned out fine. And as I've talked about before, this match was the right move to make because none of the girls that are currently on the NXT roster are really ready for Asuka. It's obvious they want to build up Ember Moon to that spot, and that's fine, and I'm completely cool with that. But they got to build her up more. She's still fairly fresh and not really well established yet. So again, it's one of the things I admire about NXT. They didn't jump the gun on it. They decided to, okay, let's hold back and wait and see if we can get Ember Moon into that spot by around WrestleMania time when it's time to do the WrestleMania weekend NXT show. But yeah, I thought Asuka and Mickie James was very, very good. Number 4, Prince Puma versus Mil Muertes in a Grave Consequences match from the 11-9 episode of Lucha Underground. These two had an awesome match at the very first Ultima Lucha. They were the main event. I love that match. They had another pretty good match to kind of revisit the feud a few weeks prior to this. And now they're having a Grave Consequences match, which is somewhat already legendary in Lucha Underground, given the first one between Phoenix and Mil Muertes in Season 1. But, yeah, this match was awesome. It's just Puma and Muertes. They have great chemistry, man. They just really good stuff. I don't think it was as good as the Phoenix Muertes Grave Consequences match, but I do think it was better than the Mil Muertes Matanza Graver Consequences match. So, overall, very enjoyable match and very nice touch with Puma being put in the casket that Conan had been put in. And it looks like this is being used to set up something bigger down the road with Vampiro getting involved in resurrecting Prince Puma and all sorts of the crazy stuff that Lucha Underground is known for doing. So, yeah, great match that opened the door for potentially more down the road. So, here's hoping for some great stuff. Number 3, Bobby Roode versus Ty Dillinger, also from NXT TakeOver Toronto. This was the opening match. I felt like they damn near stole the show right off the bat. This was a breakout match for Dillinger, I felt. I felt that this was a huge establishment match for him, where he really got to have kind of a not quite show-stealing, because there was one match on the TakeOver special that was better, but a really high-caliber performance on a big card for him. And I thought Ty looked great in this, even in defeat. And Bobby he's great. Bobby's just great. And when I did the review, again, I love that this match really showed that strength of character matters more than the moves that you do. And I'll talk about this more when I talk about TLC, but there were some matches in TLC that were straight up boring, that had people falling off of ladders and table spots and all sorts of shit. And those matches were boring to me, but this one was exciting because I cared about the characters, I cared about the feud. Both of them were over, and it was very exciting to watch. The crowd just followed it every step of the way. So if you have the character and you have the story, you don't need to be doing shooting star presses or all that crazy stuff. You just need to be good at what you do. And they had an exciting, fun, great opener without being... And like I said, when I did my review, this is a match that you could have just as easily seen in the 1980s. And it would have worked then, and it works now. So, yeah, a lot of praise towards this match. I really liked it. Number 2, Aztec Warfare 3 for the Lucha Underground Championship from the November 16th episode of Lucha Underground. This is the one where Sexy Star won the title. Aztec Warfare, they've done 3 of these now, and I think at this point I can safely say that Lucha Underground does better Royal Rumbles than the Royal Rumbles. I mean, the last few Royal Rumbles, like I said, the last Royal Rumble that I legitimately enjoyed was 2010 when Edge won. All the rest since then have just been disappointing, either poorly booked or the winner sucked or both. And it's been kind of a mess. But Aztec Warfare, you know, they build stories, they establish new feuds, they you know, and they have satisfying payoffs. I thought Sexy Star winning the title was the culmination of Sexy Star's journey from the very beginning of Lucha Underground, and also a nice surprise. And ultimately, her title reign didn't last very long, but it was still very nice to see and still very enjoyable. And Aztec Warfare, once again, very well booked, very exciting from start to finish, and another strong entry in Lucha Underground's ever-growing series of awesome matches. But the number 1 match of the month is going to go to The Revival versus DIY for the NXT Tag Team titles in a 2 out of 3 falls match from NXT TakeOver Toronto. I love tag team wrestling. And I love the work that these two teams do with each other. Their matches are great. The Revival has been putting on great matches all year long. They really are something special in tag team wrestling. They are just outstanding. They're old school as fuck. I keep comparing them to Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. They are down and dirty, roughneck, old school wrestling. Again, I mean, you want to talk about 2 guys that could have been around in the 80s, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, without question. It's great because they're not that flashy, they're not that over the top, but they work with baby faces that are very charismatic. So they really serve as a very nice obstacle to overcome. So you want to see Enzo and Cass beat them. You want to see American Alpha beat them. You want to see DIY beat them. And Gargano and Ciampa are very likable as a team. So it made for a very awesome tag team match. And again, it had all the action, all the great stuff, all the great callbacks to their previous matches, and a wonderful payoff with DIY finally winning the NXT Tag Team titles. So if I had to pick a favorite match of the month, it's got to be that. And I'm a junkie for good tag team wrestling, and this match definitely lived up to that. I was very happy with it. But with that said, time to get into my show reviews. Let's start off with 205 Live, the very first episode. And I guess I'll just talk about what I feel about the show as a concept. WWE doing a weekly cruiserweight show that's oddly enough attached to SmackDown. It comes right after SmackDown and actually preempts Talking Smack, so it makes me wonder why they just didn't either have it come after Raw or just why didn't they just have Kalisto win the title at Survivor Series? But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But anyway, I thought the first episode was alright. Nothing too spectacular. The main event was good, and the title win by Rich Swann was surprising. But one thing that I liked about the show right off the bat, I like it, but it also frustrates me because it's something that they should be doing on Monday Night Raw anyway. And they kind of started to do this week on Raw with the introduction of Jack Gallagher and Daivari beating him up post-match and all that. And that was all great. And it's like, all right, can we move more in that direction and do more stuff like that? Because, you know, interchangeable flip-floppy guys that have no personality, that's not working for me and hasn't been working for me. So, yeah, what this show did, 205 Live, you got those pre-match interviews and you got those backstories provided to the fans, so you get an idea of who these guys are, like the Bollywood boys. If they just showed up on Monday Night Raw, I guarantee you they would just be dancing idiots. But when you give them that backstory of what they worked, how they work their way into the business, how they have a blind grandfather who cheers them on and all this other stuff, it really humanizes them and make them empathetic and sympathetic and makes you want to root for them, which is probably the way to go with the cruiserweights because a lot of them admittedly don't have great mic skills and don't have over-the-top personalities. So why not just portray them as real people, like real athletes with their own, histories and problems and issues and all that other stuff. So it makes me wonder if, like, maybe that's the way to go with the cruiserweights. Because whenever they do that, they did it in the CWC, it works pretty well. And I felt like it worked somewhat well on this show, too. I mean, Rich Swann wins the title, and immediately he says that his mom's there with him in spirit, and he dedicates the win to his mom and all that other stuff. It's like, man, that's really deep. That's a lot better than what you see on Raw, where he's just a dancing, smiling goofball with no personality at all whatsoever. He's just like, yeah, I'm dancing and I'm happy. Yay, I'm colorful. And that's really all there is to Rich Swann. But then you watch 205 Live, and it's like, oh, he dedicated this to his mom. And he says his mom is here with him in spirit. That's actually really sweet. And it adds so much more to him when you have that type of stuff. So yeah, 205 Live, I enjoyed the first episode, but at the same time it frustrated me because this is stuff they should have been doing on Monday Night Raw. But all of that said, I guess 205 Live is something we'll have to wait and see how it turns out moving forward. I'm actually not going to be able to watch the second episode tonight. I'm going to go to bed right after SmackDown because I'm tired of shit. But, yeah, I'll keep watching it at least for now just to see what they ultimately do with it. But, yeah, so that's 205 Live. Let's move into Ring of Honor. They had their biggest show of the year, their last major show of the year, Ring of Honor Final Battle 2016, which is kind of their WrestleMania. I mean, it's their season finale. It's supposed to be their big show and where everything is building towards, and I kind of felt like the show fell flat. I don't know. Like, to me, the show just didn't quite work. Let me pull up the card, actually. Maybe just to make sure I got these matches in the right order. Yeah, you had the six-man tag as the opening match. The Rebellion taking on the Motor City Machine Guns and Donovan Dijak. That was an okay opening match. It was just a basic six-man tag. Kind of reminds me of some of the New Japan shows where they just have a shitload of tag matches on there, and I zone out because they all look the same to me. The Rebellion, formerly the Cabinet, I'm kind of glad that they dropped the Donald Trump bit because it's like, all right, number one, the election's over, and quite honestly, it wasn't even that funny when you were doing it. Now they're doing a Colin Kaepernick thing, which, I mean, that's less annoying, so I'll give them that, but it's, yeah, this is better than the Cabinet, but overall, the match was just sort of there. And then after the opener, we just got a bunch of matches that, I don't know, they didn't really click for me, for one reason or another. Silas Young versus Jushin Liger. I like both guys. Obviously, Liger's a legend, and I've always been a fan of his. I mean, he's getting up there in years. He's like, I think they said on the show he's like 52 now, but he doesn't always wrestle like he's 52, which I give him a lot of credit for that. But and Silas is like a great old school 80s type of talent that I like. I think if he were given the right story or pushed in the right way, I think he could be really good. But this match just kind of, I don't know, it was a filler match. It wasn't really anything else. It was an excuse to get Liger on the card and give Silas a win. So that's really all there was to it. Then we got Colt Cabana versus Dalton Castle, which seemed like a natural match to do, given that Dalton Castle has kind of become like the replacement to Colt Cabana in Ring of Honor. He's kind of like the over-the-top, colorful personality. He kind of filled that void left behind by Colt Cabana when Cabana left initially. So this seemed like a natural match to do, and I thought it was going to be really good. It was just kind of, it was all right. It was like, and that's kind of like how I felt about it. It was just kind of, it was okay. It was, nothing to write home about. Dalton Castle got the win, which is probably the right way to go, but again, it just didn't, there's nothing that memorable about the match overall. And then we got the Ring of Honor debut of Cody Rhodes, who they just keep calling Cody. Like, whether it's TNA or Ring of Honor, they just call him Cody. And I'm just like, they seriously can't call him Cody Rhodes. So, like, WWE, you all are monsters. But, anyway, Cody Rhodes versus Jay Lethal. Again, I don't know what it was, but the match just didn't really click for me. The only thing about it that I really liked was the Cody Rhodes heel turn, which was very unexpected, where you didn't think that, I knew he was going to win his first match in Ring of Honor, but I didn't expect him to cheat his way to victory and then just pretty much shit on the whole Ring of Honor process and the whole Code of Honor and all that other stuff and just turn into a dickbag heel. So that was a nice surprise, and I did like that, and that was something that stood out about this match and this show. I believe after that it was the finals to the 6-man tag team title tournament, to which it's like, do we need another set of tag titles on the show? Seriously, I said it about New Japan, and I'm gonna say it here. It's like, do you really need another set of tag titles? But anyway, it was the New Kingdom defeating Lio Rush, Jay White, and Kushida. It was just there. It was, it's a championship that I don't really care all that much about because I feel like they're kind of overloading themselves, and I didn't think the match was, again, it was nothing. It was fairly typical of what you'd expect out of this kind of thing. The New Kingdom won, which I think is, again, the right decision. If you have to have these titles and you have to have this tournament, I'm like, well, they're the ones to go with at this point, so just go with them. But it was what it was. I believe the next match was the television title. Yeah, it was the television title, triple threat. A bit spot festy, but still fun for being spot festy. I'd say it was probably the most enjoyable match on the show overall. It was Marty Scurll. I keep I keep fucking up his name. The Villain, which is kind of like the most generic yet strangely awesome name that a wrestler has ever given himself. Excuse me. He defended the Ring of Honor television title against Will Ospreay and Dragon Lee in a triple threat match. Like I said, the match was kind of spot festy, but it was enjoyable for being spot festy, so that's fine. Will Ospreay, that kid could be something really special down the road. Unfortunately, he doesn't quite have, like I said, he's still kind of into that spot festy mode, and he doesn't quite have the grasp on psychology yet, but if he gets it, he could be like a new age AJ Styles in the making. But here's the catch-22. He's either going to be an AJ Styles or he's going to be a Young Bucks. There's no in between. He's either going to keep doing the spot festy stuff to the point where he becomes boring, or he's going to be fucking AJ Styles and he's going to be amazing. He's going to be one of those two things. But right now I'm more on the positive side of things because the stuff he does in there is legitimately incredible. And he's just, some of the counters he comes up with are insane, but it's just a matter of can he work like a main event style and like put everything together in a well-constructed, well-meaning match. Time will tell. But anyways, moving on from there, we get Ring of Honor tag team titles, the Young Bucks defending against the Briscoe brothers. I don't even know what else to say anymore. Like, what else can I possibly say about Young Bucks matches? Their matches make no sense. They've rendered super kicks completely pointless. They don't adhere to tag team psychology at all. All of their matches might as well be tornado tags because they don't tag in and out. They didn't do any of that shit. They just bounce all over the place. And every match of theirs is a free-for-all. They hit the same exact spots every single time. It's like, it's boring, and it's a cartoony farce. Like, a lot of the internet guys that always told me that Hulk Hogan's matches were cartoony farces, and I was like, all right, not all of them. Some of them were, like the Doomsday Cage match. That brings back horrible memories, but I'll take Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3 over this shit, because this is just bouncing all over the place, hitting spots that don't mean anything. It's like I said, it's a cartoony farce because you've rendered the super kick, which is a move that it was considered deadly enough to be a finisher, and it's so stupidly ineffective that they can hit like 45 of them in one match and not do any serious damage. It's a joke. They rendered it a joke. The super kick is a joke now. Why? It's just, I think every Ring of Honor show or any time I flip on an indie show or a New Japan show and these guys are on it, I think I'm just going to skip it. Because it's like, I feel like I've seen all their matches because they literally have the same match every single time. The only thing this match did, I'm trying to think, like the only things they did that made it somewhat different were the ending where the Briscoes told them to fuck off while taking 45 super kicks, and they also did they had a counter to the Meltzer driver. That was kind of cool, but that's it. It's just there's a cool spot that I haven't seen out of them before. It's like, so it's nice to know they can hit at least one different thing. But yeah, it's like, dude, I'll take the Revival over the Young Bucks any day of the week. That's my take on it. I hate their matches. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Their matches are terrible. But anyway, let's move on to the main event. Adam Cole, baby, defending the Ring of Honor World title against Kyle O'Reilly. First of all, let me go back to the start of the show. I really liked how the show opened up with a promo, Adam Cole story time. I thought that was a really cool way to open up the show, and different from what I was expecting, and I thought that was nice. Nice little pre-tape segment to kind of get the vibes going on the pay-per-view. I thought that was cool. And I've actually been enjoying Adam Cole as champion. I didn't like him that much initially, back when he first became champion, but man, he's really grown on me this time around, so he's gotten better. Of course, as I say that, his title reign came to an end. Kyle O'Reilly won the Ring of Honor World title. The match itself, it was okay. I don't know, it just didn't click with me. I think the problem was, the most interesting part of the match was that they were setting up where Kyle O'Reilly got busted open and he got hurt and it looked like he might not be able to continue. And when you set something up like that, you set up the babyface like he's in legitimate danger and looks like he's going to go down and he's going to get the crap kicked out of him. There's two ways you can go with that. You can either finish the beat down and just have the heel just beat him into oblivion and win, or you set up for a massive, exciting comeback, hulking up or something like that. It doesn't have to be quite like that, but something akin to that, where Kyle O'Reilly makes a fiery comeback and then, starts kicking Adam Cole's ass. They didn't really do that. He just kind of got better, and then they just went into their 50-50 style of working a match. So because of that, the match looked fairly typical rather than being like a really special, really cool main event. The coolest thing they did was in the finish where they did thumbtacks, and then Kyle O'Reilly locked in the submission while they're rolling around in the thumbtacks, which looked really sick and really nasty. So that was cool and memorable. But other than that, in the main event, it's cool that Kyle O'Reilly won. He's a talented guy, and I don't necessarily have a problem with him winning. But match itself was only okay, and that's kind of this whole pay-per-view. It was there, and that's really all there is I can say about it. But yeah, that's all I got. The Ring of Honor Final Battle 2016. It happened. It was certainly a show that I watched. That's about as much as I can go with it. But with that, let's jump into TLC 2016. WWE's latest pay-per-view, SmackDown's latest pay-per-view. This is another one of those shows that, I talked about this with Hell in a Cell, and I'll talk about it here with TLC again, because I feel like I'm having this discussion every year. It's too over-gimmicked. It's too, they're so wrapped up in the gimmick and the tables and ladders and chairs and forcing it on all the matches that it just makes all that stuff look ordinary. It's the lockdown syndrome. It's just they rendered the gimmicks and the spots that they cause somewhat meaningless, and because of that, the show doesn't seem that exciting, really, overall. I guess with that, we'll just jump into the card. What was the first match? It was the Wyatt family, the new Wyatt family, Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. By the way, Randy Orton looks so out of place with the Wyatts. I just don't buy it. I keep waiting for him to turn on them because he looks so out of place there. It's just, I don't know. It just doesn't work for me. And anyway, it was Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt taking on Heath Slater and Rhino for the WWE SmackDown tag titles. Wyatt's won. Bray Wyatt gets his first title. I think that's his first championship in WWE. But match was just there. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not buying Randy Orton in the group, and I don't. I'm not feeling this new incarnation of the Wyatt family. I'm just kind of. It's just whatever, basically, at this point. Next up, I believe, was Nikki Bella versus Carmella in a no disqualifications match. I made the point before. I don't dislike the story that they've done with these two. I think the build-up has been pretty good. Match itself was just kind of... It was alright. It was just a basic hardcore match. Nothing more, nothing less. Nikki Bella got the win, but then Carmella dropped the bombshell afterwards that, it wasn't me that attacked you at Survivor Series, it was Natalya. And that's where the story's going to go moving forward. Is Carmella lying? Is Natalya a villain? Is she a good guy? Whatever. We'll just have to watch SmackDown to find out. But I really didn't like how Carmella dropped this bombshell and then they just played her music like she won the segment or something. It's like, no, she lost the match, and you're kind of taking away from the spontaneity and the legitimacy of the moment when you have their theme songs on standby. They actually did this back, and they've been doing this for years, so this isn't a new thing. They did it in 2000 when Rikishi revealed he was the one that ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin, which I thought was a great moment. I thought it was a complete surprise. Nobody was expecting it to be Rikishi, and his reasoning for doing it was out of the realm of what anybody could have possibly expected. And I was like, man, wow, okay. And then Rikishi walks away, and they play the Too Cool dance music as Rikishi's walking away. And I'm like, guys, you're kind of killing the seriousness of the moment. Rock is standing there, like, trying to fight back tears. Oh, my God, a member of my family did this. And he did it for me. And Rikishi just dropped this massive bombshell on everybody. And then they end the show playing stupid dance music. It's like, guys... come on, man. It's like, let the moment breathe. Let the moment stand. And I'm not saying, like, Carmella revealing Natalya's a cheap shot artist is, like, you know, this huge, like, blockbuster moment or anything, but let those moments feel a little bit more legitimate. And part of doing that is just, don't play the fucking theme songs. Like, but Carmella, she was the last one to speak, so she won the segment, so they had to play her music, so whatever. There's no way you can tell the segment's over unless you know the theme song's playing, but... in any case, what's the next match after that? Let me pull up the match list again. Oh my God. Oh God, this one. Oh God. Oh, horrible memories coming back. The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler in a ladder match for the Intercontinental title. A match that went like half an hour. And, okay, let me start this off by saying this is not a knock on either guy. The last pay-per-view match they had, I praised the hell out of. I said it was arguably WWE's pay-per-view match of the year. The only other contenders are like Zayn and Owens, maybe AJ and Cena. There ain't much else. I mean, that's about it. Like when I say best WWE main roster WWE pay-per-view match of the year. The last Ziggler Miz match I hold up very high. This one, I don't know. It just didn't work for me. And it went on way too long and just had no intrigue to it. First of all, the last pay-per-view match they had was title versus career. So a lot more was at stake. This time it was just for the title. So it's like, all right, the stakes are decreased, but you put ladders in there. And that's supposed to be the equivalent of jiggling keys in front of a toddler. It's, you know, you jiggle ladders in front of a wrestling fan and they'll just flock to it because wrestling fans, sometimes we're morons. And, but really it doesn't add anything. It doesn't make it any more substantial. To me, the story was done when Ziggler beat him. It was like, why are we still having this feud? Aren't we done yet? And so to me, it's like, I felt like the story was already over. We'd already moved past this. Why are we still doing this? It's like, well, we got to have a ladder match on the TLC show, but your main event is basically a ladder match. No, that's TLC. That one will have tables and chairs. Who the fuck cares? It's ladder match rules. I don't care. Nobody fucking cares. God damn it. God damn it. But anyway, this match was one of those really long, I don't give a shit, soul-sucking type of matches. Some of the spots were very awkward, too. I point to that superplex spot that they tried to do. That was really odd and very strangely set up. But, yeah, the spots were awkward. And like I said, the stakes were decreased from the previous match. The match just didn't work for me. It just didn't work. And it went on so long that it really killed my interest in the show. It was like, all right, Wyatt match, whatever. It was quick and done. Whatever, they did what they wanted to do. Second match, Nikki and Carmella. It's like, all right, fine, whatever. They did what they wanted to do. This one, like, drained me. I was like, oh, fuck this show. I don't want to watch the rest of this. Fortunately, the next match was Baron Corbin versus Kalisto in a chairs match. Now, let me explain to you why I'm not a huge fan of chairs matches as a concept. Because to me, it's like, all right, tables matches have their own set of rules. Ladder matches have their own set of rules. Chair matches are basically just shitty no DQ matches because you're limited to just one weapon. So to me, it's like, why not just have a no DQ match? Like, why does it have to be chairs only? That's stupid. You're getting less than you would out of a no DQ. So if Baron Corbin hit him with a kendo stick, would he get disqualified? These are the questions. I don't know. But, I mean, I said the same thing about some TLC matches where ladder match rules don't apply and it's like pinfall and submission. And I'm like, so wait a minute, like the one where Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt used a TV. I'm like, well, that's not a ladder, a table, or a chair. So is that legal? Shouldn't be, based on the rule structure of the match. No, it's totally legal. It's no DQ. Well, the fuck, just having a no. Why are we calling it a TLC match? Just call it a fucking no DQ. Fucking, I don't know anymore. Oh, whatever. But anyway, I'm not a huge fan of chairs matches, and I don't recall ever seeing a good one. People pointed to me saying the Big Show Sheamus one was good. I have absolutely no memory of that match ever taking place. I remember Batista having one with somebody. It might have been Big Show. I don't remember. I remember not liking that match. I remember Kane having one. Was it? I think it was Ryback and Kane, and that one was awful. Because really the match is just typically just limited to two guys just swinging chairs at each other. I'm like, okay, that gets boring after a while. This one, maybe it was because of the size difference between the two guys, but they were able to do a lot more creative things with the chairs, and Kalisto was able to flip and flop all over the place, and Corbin was able to be more of a beast, and it made for a more exciting match. They probably could have just as easily had a regular match just like it, and it would have been just fine. But for a gimmick match that I don't care about, for a feud that's not bad, but not like setting the world on fire either, I thought they had the sleeper hit of the show. Like, it was the best match on the show up to this point, easily. I would say second best match on the card, without question. So yeah, hats off to Corbin and Kalisto for having a match that really kind of saved the show for me, because I was like, my interest was waning thin after that ladder match. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to bounce back from this. But I did. Thank you, chairs match. That was really good. And Corbin, I like Baron Corbin. He's a big guy that they book like a big guy, so I'm fine with that. And Kalisto, why the hell he's not in the Cruiserweight division, whichever show it's on, I don't understand how that decision got made. But yeah, this match was pretty good and I enjoyed it. Moving on from there, was the women's title match next? I think so. All right, tables match. Alexa Bliss challenging Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's title. So I guess table bumps. This is where I'm getting to, where I say the gimmicks don't mean anything. I guess that table bump really didn't mean anything. I'll get into Alexa's victory in a minute, but so Becky Lynch gets powerbombed through a table, and then immediately after that, she's able to do a post-match interview and walk away of her own volition, not even selling that she'd just been slammed through a table. I'm like, all right, this camera and this computer is currently sitting on a cheap IKEA table right now. This is pretty hard, okay? I don't feel comfortable slamming my body even through this. So, and I think back to grade school, and I think back to those like the wooden folding tables with the metal frames. That was what I ate lunch off throughout all of grade school and all of middle school. So, you know, I'm watching wrestlers get slammed through these things. I'm like, shouldn't that be an ER trip? Because those things look pretty vicious to have your body slammed through it. And I don't know. It seemed weird to me that Becky was just completely no-selling that she had just been slammed through a table. Really kind of takes away from the spot, I think. And but then again, this is the same company where apparently Vince McMahon didn't want Apollo Crews selling a beating he took from Sheamus, even though it would have made sense for him to sell the beating, because it would have A, added to the match he was having, and B, given him an excuse to lose the match. But whatever. You know, Lucha Underground, a show that has, you know, zombies and guys with superpowers and guys that can resurrect from the dead and dragon men and all sorts of other crazy shit like that. Whenever something bad happens to their guys, you know, they typically sell it. I'm just saying, they're not back next week. And they're typically not getting up and walking out of there by the time it's over. I'm just saying. It's okay to sell shit. It's fine. But, yeah, so that was the women's match. What came after that? Was it the main event next? Or am I missing a match? You know what I forgot to talk about? I forgot to talk about Alexa Bliss's victory. I guess I'm fine with it. Alexa was a talent that I first saw in NXT. She had some internet hype around her, and people were telling me, oh yeah, she's really good. She's really good. And I watched her a couple of times. I'm like, she's okay. I'm not seeing this obvious greatness here. But then they turned her heel, And then it seemed to open the door for her, and she just kept getting better and better and better. And I like her a lot more as a heel than as a babyface. So that was a really good thing that they did with her. Now, she's the SmackDown Women's Champion. I guess I'm fine with that. If you look at the roster over there, oh God, I guess that means Nikki Bella is going to be set up to win the title. But yeah, I don't have a problem with Alexa winning. I think it's fine. So with that, let's jump into the main event. AJ Styles defending the WWE Championship against Dean Ambrose in a TLC match. Awesome match. Very, very good. And, you know, all my fears about, like, the first ladder match taking away from this one, I think those were kind of squashed when the first ladder match turned out as bad as it did. I mean, that match was so poor and executed so poorly that by the time you got to this match, I was like, oh, well, I guess ladders are cool again. It's like, it had no impact on this match is basically what I'm saying. So, because there's no way that this match could be as bad as that one. So, yeah, AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose, man, they did really well out there. Just had a brutal match. I mean, that 450 to the outside through the table was sick as fuck. And AJ is just always coming up with new ways to be crazy and sick as fuck. And he's just, like I said, he's really a special talent. And when you look at the pay-per-view matches he's had this year with Roman Reigns, with John Cena, and now with Dean Ambrose, it's like, you're hard-pressed to... I mean, if you're looking for a superstar of the year, you may have to look at AJ Styles. I mean, he's done really, really well his first year in the WWE. Again, he's been a victim of some of the bad booking that everybody gets, but he didn't get royally fucked over like I thought he would. And that's been good. And they put him in a position where he can shine and just do what he does best. And it's great to be seeing him in this spot. Happy he won the match. Not happy that it was James Ellsworth that did it. And I guess I'll take the moment now to talk about James Ellsworth and why I'm not really a fan of his. When he first started off, it was cute and funny, and it's always funny to have those lovable loser characters. I mean, Mick Foley played that at various points of his career. You know, it's fine to have that type of character. I don't have a problem with it. The problem is that James Ellsworth kind of became the show, where all the main storylines are worked around James Ellsworth, and he's getting more promotion than a majority of the SmackDown roster. And it's like, you get to a point where he got overexposed pretty quick, and it's like, okay, guys, it's not funny anymore. It was funny for 2 or 3 weeks. It's not funny anymore. I don't care. His reasons for turning on AJ, I think, makes sense, because he's been given 3 victories over AJ. Why is anybody's guess, but... he has those victories, so he just feels like I can beat AJ for the title because he's got a false sense of security or whatever. But I'm just sick of seeing him. I was like, all right, I hope AJ beats him on SmackDown tonight, and then that's the end of it, and I never have to, like, see him in a major storyline again. It's like, keep him around, let him be the cute, funny guy, but no, like, stop making him the major focal point of everything. I'm kind of sick of it. But yeah, it didn't hurt the main event too much of what I thought was a very good main event. They really kind of pulled this show out of the doldrums. It took like kind of a ho-hum show and made it, at least it ended on a high note. So TLC overall, really liked the main event. Really enjoyed the chairs match. Hated the ladder match. Everything else was just kind of take it or leave it. It was like, yeah, it was all right. It was kind of like the Ring of Honor show. I was like, yeah, it was all right. So that's kind of my take on the overall show. But that is officially my conclusion to the review of TLC 2016. Hope you all enjoyed this video, and I've definitely got more planned for you. I'm actually going to do an end of the year video with the Wrestling End of the Year Awards and all sorts of crazy stuff like that. So be on the lookout for that. Not sure how I'm going to tackle that one yet, but that'll be my last video of the year, definitely. So yeah, holiday season's kicking in, and man, 2016, where'd the year go? It's like, man, this year went by fast. But anyways, that is all I have for you right now, and until then, I will see you all later.